In the final regular season game for the Houston Texans, they take care of business, beating the Tennessee Titans. And you can keep those Oilers jerseys. They don't matter anymore. Hit it!
You are Locked On Texans, your daily podcast on the Houston Texans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Battle Red Nation. I'm credential media member and Texans football analyst John Hickman, alongside the man with the big hat, even bigger smile, Brian Big SARS Bearfield. Salute. Pray for the ops. That's what the Houston Texans didn't do for the Tennessee Titans. They got them out the paint. Thank you guys for stopping by today's show, and thank you for making us your first listen of the day. You guys are an every day of the show, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. On today's episode, we will be talking about our thoughts on the reserve players. Hey, listen, we can't talk about the reserves and not talk about Dameon Pierce, right? I mean, he stole the show, and contrary to popular belief, I'm glad he stole the show. So me and Sarge will dive into that. Also, we'll look at just the offensive line shining in the season finale. I thought that the interior guys played very well for the Houston Texans. We'll open up today's show just giving our overall thoughts and breakdown of the starters offensive starters impressing in the one series, which led to a Nico Collins touchdown. And also, what did we learn about the starters that we didn't get a chance to see throughout the first 17 weeks of the NFL season? Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. Terms and conditions apply. Big Sarge.
What's going down?
Quick hitting plays from CJ Stroud to Bobby Slowick in that first series. 6 for 6 from CJ Stroud. 50 yards on that first drive. 1 TD. No negative plays. Took what the defense gave him underneath with a couple of pressure beating throws and did a very good job of not overthinking it, just letting the ball get out of his hands, especially considering with the starters in, they knew exactly what Nico Collins needed to get 1,000 yards on the year after missing 5 games. They made it happen. Houston Texans finished off the season 10-7, matching the record from last year. Just give your overall thoughts of the starters on that first offensive series and just something that you may have learned today that you didn't get a chance to learn throughout the year, or something that you've seen that you've been beating the table waiting to see.
Well, first thing, we also have to give congratulations to Joe Mixon for going over 1,000 yards rushing on Sunday. He's the only 2 active players, him and Derrick Henry, reached 1,000 yards rushing in 5 or more seasons. So it's only 2 active players who have that record, and that's Joe Mixon and Baltimore Ravens running back Derrick Henry. So, John, I was very impressed by the fact that it seemed like the Houston Texans offense was moving a little bit quicker. It looked like they had a little pep in their step on Sunday. It looked like that, and I'm talking about that first unit, and it looked like they allowed CJ to be CJ. It looked like CJ had been in a funk over the last game and a half, after Tank Dell's injury in Kansas City, and then in Baltimore, he just looked like he didn't have it. And so on Sunday, it was one of those games where he just came out and he just played football in that first series. And I don't know if it was because he knew he was only going to play 1 series or maybe even 2 if Nico hadn't got his yards, but he just looked more carefree. He looked like he was ready to have fun. And
he did look a little bit jolly out there.
He also probably took it a little bit personal. The Texans players know what's on the line when they see those Oilers jerseys. They know what it means to their fans. They know what it means to the city of Houston. And that's a little extra because they also know that the owners are, going at it. And the owner of the Tennessee Titans, she also likes to, make fun and poke at the Houston Texans because they don't own those colors anymore, but it hasn't worked for them well in the last 2 seasons, John. And so, sometimes those players go out there with that little pep in their step. When I talked to some of the Texans players on last week, they knew exactly what uniform was being worn, and they knew exactly why they were being worn, and they knew that they wanted to get the win for the Texans, the Texans fans. And so, that may have been the reason why he had a little bit more pep in his step. I like the way that he was able to get the ball out of his hands quickly. I like the way that Nico, what was it? The first play, John. They put the ball in Nico's hands on a
right out the gate on a toss.
yeah, on a
Actually,
toss.
that looked like a flip pass, kind of get
Yes.
those cheap yards.
Want to just get him going. And so I like what I seen from that first unit, John. The only thing that I learned is that they can play that way.
Yeah. Touch pass is what I meant to say. Absolutely. But by the way, get your thoughts really quick because I know we're gonna get flooded with the comments. But Laramie Tunsil, a couple of false starts. When Davis Mills got in, I saw a couple of your tweets.
Yeah.
Is it cadence? Is it Laramie Tunsil being Laramie? What is it?
Look, some people are saying that I jinxed him because I did put out the tweet and I did put out the exclusive interview that I had with him talking about his penalties. But I just, my retort, John, is this: is in the first 4 weeks of the season, Laramie Tunsil had 12 penalties. And I think heading into Sunday's game against the Titans, he had a total of what, 16? I think he had 16. So if he had 12 in the first 4 weeks and ended in week 18 heading into the game with 16, hadn't had a false start penalty since had one false start penalty in week 9, had another false start penalty against the Tennessee Titans in week 12, the last time they met, and then on Sunday, he had 2 false starts with a different quarterback. It wasn't a false start in there with CJ was in there. He hasn't had one since week 12. So, just like what the announcers even said, it's, when you have to listen to those different cadences, and, he wasn't the only one that jumped, John, but he was the only one that got caught.
Yeah. I'm sorry for smiling. My brother walked in on me, but I looked at that first drive and I thought to myself, hey, so we know you guys can do it. Right.
Yes.
We know you guys can, for CJ, who I think has been struggling for over the 5 or 6 or so weeks or so, you know you can get the ball out your hands quickly. The one of the more impressive moments from him was just stepping up in the pocket when the pressure got to him a little bit. Nothing was downfield. Let me just hit Joe Mixon on the left side of me.
Yeah.
Let me just get the ball out really quickly. I love the touch pass from Bobby Slowick to start the game off. And again, I think that was just him going out there and say, hey, how many yards Nico needs?
Yeah.
Let's find the easiest route possible for him to get open and get some yards. And so I love that. I think overall, I love the protection. We'll talk about the offensive line. I think this team, they're going to either play Pittsburgh or LA at the time of this recording. It's not 100% sure right now. I think if they could continue to build off of that first drive and some of the things that the reserves were able to do, some of the things the offensive line was able to do for another 4 quarters all together collectively, we could see this team be more than a one-and-done team. Sarge, you say that, yes, they can beat a struggling Pittsburgh team, and you kind of changed my mind. I said, well, you know what? The way you broke it down, yes, they could. LA, not 100% sure. But if they can build on some of these things, and this has been a theme all year, stack good days, right? How many times have we heard everybody in this franchise say stack good days, good moments? Yeah, they'll have a shot. We got to talk about the offensive line. I thought they played really well.
I just want to throw this in, John, real quickly. When we got a chance to speak with Joe Mixon last week, he said, this is one of the first times I've heard him outwardly say, we were clicking this week. He said, we've had really good practices. He said, not a lot of redos, not a lot of do-overs. He said, we have been clicking. And you could tell that in that first drive against the Tennessee Titans.
They were moving with some good tempo, which is something purpose in tempo, something that we have not necessarily seen a lot of this year. Another good thing that we saw?
What's that?
No players got injured. John Mechie left the field for a while because of concussion protocol, but he came back out. First team, no injuries. Everybody was able to leave out on their own will, and that hasn't been the case for the Houston Texans over the last couple of games. Let's talk about the offensive line doing a better job than what we've seen them do as of late, especially in the run game. And our thoughts on the reserves. We got all of that and more on today's show. Growing your small business in 2025 comes down to how well you can hire. And let's face it, better hires start with smarter insights. That's where LinkedIn comes in. With the strongest hiring data available, LinkedIn helps you find the right candidates, giving you the confidence to make the best decisions for your business. I can tell you right now, it's a game changer with how they hire candidates for small businesses. And small businesses are wearing so many different hats. Every hire is crucial. LinkedIn gets that. That's why they connect you with the best candidates using data you won't find anywhere else. From unique skills and interests to the connections you share, LinkedIn helps you find the right person for the job. In fact, 72% of small businesses say LinkedIn helps them find high quality, qualified candidates. You can't beat it. Hire smarter this year and find your next great hire on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/locked on NFL. That's linkedin.com/locked on NFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. And also, Locked On Texan fans, did Rocket Money ever help you find subscriptions you may have forgot about paying for, maybe paying twice? Do you know what Rocket Money is? If not, I'm about to tell you right now. Rocket Money is an app that helps you find subscriptions you may not realize you're still paying for or that you're paying double for. It's time to save money, and Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitor your savings, your spending, and helps you lower your bill so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of over $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/locked on today. That's rocketmoney.com/locked on. Again, visit rocketmoney.com/locked on.
Welcome back, Texas fans, to the Locked On Texans podcast. John, you and I, in the first segment, discussed what we liked about that, the way that the first team played, the way that they were able to move the ball, the way they were able to have that scoring drive. But one of the things that I was looking forward to seeing how they were going to, what unit I was looking forward to see play, John, was that offensive line unit. What did you see from the Houston Texans offensive line unit as a whole? Not just only the ones who took the first team reps, but them, the offensive line as a whole.
So as a whole, let's look at the run game for the day. The Houston Texans, 207 yards, 7.1 yards per carry. Yes, they had a long run of 92 yards from Dameon Pierce, and that put him at 9.3 yards per carry. But if you take that away along with his carries, Damien Pierce was still rushing for almost 4.9 yards per carry.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was due to just the interior offensive line. I thought they played well. I thought not only did they play well individually, but cohesiveness from that unit was probably some of the best we've seen in a while in terms of just being able to create gaps for your running back. Joe Mixon only had 5 carries, 23 yards, still 4.6 yards per carry. So you look at the opportunities, whether this big or small, when they were there, they were able to open up running lanes for their running backs to be able to say, okay, right now we're 4.5 yards per carry. So the next time we take a snap, we're not looking at 2nd and 7. We're not looking at 2nd and 8. We're looking at 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4. And I thought that was a positive thing for the Houston Texans, and also just making sure that their starting quarterback, which I know a lot of fans were looking and making sure CJ don't get hurt because of the recent injuries. But the starter quarterback in Davis Mills wasn't necessarily hit a lot. Only 1 sack registered from the offensive line. That was for Davis Mills. He had his 1 sack, loss of 11, and I think that was Blake Fisher who was beat on the edge, rookie. But overall, I saw that offensive line play together, and that's a positive heading into the playoffs.
John, the only thing I never want to see again is Titus Howard pulling. He is not built to be a pulling guard.
No. But I told you that. Wait, let's hold on. But listen, we talked about that.
We have
that, and that's why I hate that pitch play. That pitch toss. I hate that play.
Yeah, because he hasn't done it repeatedly. That's the first thing. Two, he practices it, but he probably doesn't practice it a lot. He just ain't built for that just yet. I don't think he has the speed to be in now. Don't get me wrong, Titus Howard is an athlete, and he plays, he plays strong, he plays fast, but he don't play that fast. John, I never want to see that play again. But what I did like from the offensive line, John, I was looking to see what the reserves, as far as the reserve, the backup linemen were going to do. I wanted to see what Kenyon Green was going to be able to do once he got into the game. I wanted to see what Austin Deculus was going to do and to see if some of these players could be, you see some of these backup offensive linemen can be used just in case something happens in the playoffs and their number is called. And so I like what they did. I like the way that they were able to, protect Davis for the most part. I like the way that that they were able to move as a unit. I definitely like what they did on the 92-yard run by Dameon Pierce. So I just like the offensive line unit Sunday, as a whole. I like the way that they were able to, get some type of, the one thing that has hampered the Houston Texans as far as the run game is concerned, John, is the ability to get to the second level.
Yeah.
And sometimes on Sunday, you are able to see them get to that second level. And that's promising for a team that's going to need that, especially when you have a running back like Joe Mixon heading into the playoffs.
So when I analyze this offensive line for the Houston Texans, I always look at where the initial, how can I put it, just the initial ball drop is for that unit. And one thing that I've noticed for a couple of years now is just the initial contact that the offensive lineman for the Houston Texans will make against a defender. Initially, it's decent, it's fair, it's good, but it's a split second. And I've seen time and time again D linemen, especially those very good interior D linemen, but just guys be able to bounce off of that initial contact to be able to make a play in the backfield or at the line of scrimmage. That's been an issue for this team, I think, for a while. Sunday, I didn't see a lot of that. I thought that was cleaned up, and I thought that number 54, Jared Patterson, played some good football on that 92-yard breakoff run. His contact, getting over to where he's supposed to be in his gap control, making sure that his man is out the way and just open up a lane. And so I look at moments like those, and I think to myself, A, okay, why did it take so long? But I understand they've shuffled everything around a lot. But B, again, I'm going back to what D'Amico Ryans has preached all year. It's all about how can we stack good days? How can we stack good moments, good plays, and build off of that? So I think the 92-yard run is going to be one of those film room runs where they run it back and say, look what we did here. There's no reason why we can't replicate this again.
Yeah.
Even Larry Tunsil, and he's not a guy that we know to get to the second level, but he was getting in on the physicality of the game. So that's what I like the most. I thought that they was extremely physical. Mm-hmm. I thought that going up against a team that throughout the week called you out. I can't remember the defensive line, but they called out Bobby Slowick and the play calling, called him out. We know about the owner's beef, right? Praying for your ops. I'm sure neither the McNairs or the Adams family prayed for anybody this week, but they brought the physicality to the game. And honestly, the Colts week 1, we saw that. The Patriots, I think that was week 6 or something. We saw that.
Yeah, and John, I want to throw this
offensive line.
Let me throw this in there real quick, John, and I want to ask you this: didn't it look like on the first drive, for the first time in a long time, CJ looked comfortable?
He did. Now, and you know what, Sarge, you talk to me about this. A lot of people are going to say this. You know what they're going to say?
What's that?
The team that was tanking for the number 1.
No player goes out there and says, "Hey, let's just try to lose." Especially the ones. Look, all NFL players are independent contractors, so everybody's trying to put something on tape. If you go out there and you dog it, it's going to show up on film and on tape. And then when it's time for you to renegotiate contracts, that's something that they'll use against you. Well, you didn't really play hard all 17 games. Yeah, but I thought we was tanking. Yeah, as an organization, we were tanking. But why do you deserve this type of money when look at what you were doing? So every player that goes out there They want to put good film on tape. And even a lot of those backups who were on the field, they're like, yo, I'm playing for my next contract. So I don't like to hear that, oh, the players were tanking. Now, maybe some of the defensive schemes, the defensive play calling could be, John, but the players never go out there to try to tank.
I swear, I feel like on 2 occasions we saw the Tennessee Titans pull a Texan player into the end zone.
Well,
yeah, that Dameon Pierce, when I thought that they pushed him at the last minute to get in.
That was
Martin, that one.
John, he couldn't do nothing else. Pierce was in front of him too far.
I think they got their own little pot going on inside the locker room. Whoever can help us tank the most,
man,
we got an extra 50,000 for you.
You think that he pulled him in?
Listen, man, that's my conspiracy theory. I'm a conspiracy theory.
He was reaching for the ball. He was reaching, trying to pull the ball.
The ball, 6. Okay. Hey, I'm not mad at it. We saw this team do something on the offensive line that we were just proud to see them do as a unit. We saw the starters go out there and have I can't say dominant day, dominant drive, one of the better drives of the season for them. Again, no negative plays. We saw CJ Stroud look extremely comfortable after a couple of weeks, especially one very bad, what you call it, putrid week. Yeah. However, there were 4 quarters, where we didn't see CJ. And we didn't see a lot of the starters. So we got to give our thoughts on the guys that stepped in to help the Houston Texans secure its win. Texas fans, as we get ready for the playoffs, a lot of big upsets coming in the last week of the NFL season, a lot of game-winning drives. The NFL playoffs are here, and they are better with FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose, on FanDuel. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need to place live bets, same game parlays, and so much more. And for you Texan fans out there, there's been times this year that you may have wanted to give up on the season. However, get in the game. Get in the game right now. The playoffs are around the corner. Get in the game. Make it fun. Make it exciting with FanDuel. Visit the website and share betting lines around your team or league. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Welcome back in, Locked On Texans listeners and viewers. Thank you for watching today's show. Sarge, the obvious, right? Dameon Pierce, right?
Yep.
Let's look at the numbers here. Shout out to our boy, actually, Jonathan Alexander over at the Chronicle. Dameon Pierce finished with a career high 176 yards on the ground, 19 carries, 4 rushes of 10 or more yards, of course, which included the 92-yard rushing TD, which is the second longest in franchise history. Just how good was it to see Dameon Pierce have a day?
Well, John, listen, I don't really like to, toot my own horn or give myself
Yes, you do.
On the back. I really don't like to say how, good I am in affecting others and having that positive outlook. But I will say this, and it is posted on social media. Dameon Pierce has been ducking me for an interview over the last 3 to 5 weeks. He has been saying, I got you, Sarge. I got you, Sarge. I got you, Sarge. And then this past Friday, he said, he had told me during the week, Friday, I got you. Then when I came in the locker room, he said, I could have left, but I told y'all I was going to give you an interview. So I'm going to give you an interview. And then he said, even on the when I was filming it, he said, I've been ducking this guy for about 3 weeks, right? So, John, is it really a coincidence that he talks to Sarge on Friday and then on Sunday? He got the angry scepter. Yeah,
conspiracy?
Look, hold on. That angry scepter that he got from the special team, that's cool and all. But when you have the second longest run in franchise history, when you have the longest run in the NFL this season, and that's that's better than backs like Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry. Like when you have the longest run in the NFL in week 18, now imagine what could have happened if you'd have talked to Sarge earlier in the season. You could have been looking at, him him rushing. He could have been. They could have had 2 100-yard rushes when Dameon Pierce was able to get into the game. But with that being said, John, now that I've stopped patting my own self on the back and taking credit for his 92-yard run, his 176-yard rushing on the day, hey man, that was the old Dameon Pierce, John.
It looked good.
That was the rookie year Dameon Pierce. And I will say this. I think that Joe Mixon has a lot to do with that. Joe Mixon has taught Dameon Pierce how to play the running back position. Damien Pierce gives him so much credit about how he has helped him and helped those other running backs in the room. So, John, I was just really glad to see Damien Pierce, get those type of accolades on Sunday.
Yeah, another thing I forgot to mention, we saw a lot of the defensive starters or guys that started on the defensive side of the ball play the first half, a little bit into the second half for the Houston Texans, and it was good to see Azeez just get that time out there. He made some plays for the Houston Texans. Going into the playoffs, mystery games, when they get their rush knocked out of them. I thought Miles Bryant played some good football. I mean, all things considered, they didn't go up against an all-pro wide receiver, but in his role and what he was able to do, I would rather see Miles Bryant out there on the field than a Chris Boyd. Let's put it like that. But another star of the day on the defensive side of the ball, didn't get a chance to see Will Anderson Jr., but we did see a Derek Barnett, 2 tackles for loss, 1 sack, a thick 6. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I know y'all probably
big sexy.
But seeing things like that, my thoughts on the reserves were the guy Dameon Pierce, Miles Bryant, Barnett, Devin White played some good football for the Houston Texans. Again, D'Angelo Ross. I thought that those guys allowed us to be a little bit more trusting of them. And some of those guys we didn't get a chance to see a lot throughout the year, but allowed them to play, give us something to trust into just in case we're not able to see some of the main guys start. Again, you never want to see a Miles Bryant out there because a Kamari isn't able to play or a Derek Stingley isn't able to play. Same with D'Angelo Ross, but packages coming into mind now. With Derek Barnett, maybe we need to give Will Anderson a break in this second and long, but we need to go get after the quarterback. We trust
John,
you can do that.
About Derek Barnett real quick. Not only did he disrupt the play, John, not only did he knock the runner off his feet, he was able to scoop the ball up and run it in for a touchdown. Like everything about that play was Derek Barnett. Yeah. He caused everything to happen on that play. And I don't think that people take into consideration how good he is. And he's in a reserve role.
Yeah.
He'll be a starter on any other team. But the way that this
half the league with how he's been playing, he's probably he'll be a starter.
Yeah, man. And with the rotation that they have on that defensive front, those defensive linemen, the way they rotate them in and out, they have starters playing backup minutes. And D'Amico and Matt Burke do a great job of rotating those guys in and out. Got to give a special shout out to defensive line coach Rod Wright, who has had them guys playing the way that they've been playing all year long. If you go back and you look at it, the one staple of the Houston Texans for the NFL regular season has been the defensive line play. And, of course, Derek Stingley as well. But, John, I know that we're talking about defense, but I have to put this in before we end the show. Hey, man. Davis Mills didn't look bad.
No, he didn't.
Davis Mills did not.
I almost thought he was going to break their neck.
Yeah, right. Me too. But, it's plastic, man. It looked like he just bent and then came back. I don't
know what was going on with that one. Shout out to D. Millie.
But, John, he looked more fluid on Sunday than I've ever seen him look. And he hasn't looked that way in a long time. And maybe it's because he does know the offensive playbook now. Now, maybe it is because he's in there. He's watching what CJ's able to do, and they're able to bounce ideas off of each other. I mean, that one play, even, he took accountability for it right off the bat. That should have been a touchdown pass to Deontay Johnson. Yeah. On that quick slant. And, John, Davis Mills quickly said, my fault. Side note. Deontay Johnson is a very good route runner. I just had to throw it.
Oh, Oh, look who's giving Deontay some love.
Hey, I never questioned.
Look who's giving Deontay some love, y'all.
Hold up. I didn't question his ability. I questioned his accountability.
Well, I do want to highlight. Okay, I do want to highlight the wide receiver reserves. John Mechie, 4 targets, 2 catches. One of those targets almost got him knocked out of the game. But 24 yards on the day. Xavier Hutchinson, 1 catch, 2 targets, 5 yards. You know, those guys, especially Xavier Hutchinson, as much as I talk about the hope that I may have and trusting some of these offensive linemen and other reserve players, it's not there for me with Hutchinson. It's not. Houston will absolutely need the most that they can get out of John Mechie in the playoffs. There was a couple of times where he got open, and you just want to see the ball maybe go his way. But one guy that I got to give some love to, Robert Woods, 2 catches, 39 yards. And he's a guy that you've really advocated for.
Don't give him all that love because he did fumble.
He did fumble.
He did fumble. He didn't give too much love. That fumble, that fumble killed a very good drive that Davis
right before the half, right? That was right before that, yeah.
Davis Mills was having a really good drive. He had made some plays in the pocket, and then that fumble. Like, I'm not taking nothing away from Robert Woods. I like Robert Woods when he's in the game. If you need a possession receiver to get a first down, if it's 3rd and 5, he can get you 7 yards. Or, you know, he is a very good – he's one of the best blockers that they have at the wide receiver position. But like the only reason that fumble stood out to me is even, you know, not only because it was a turnover, but because it killed Davis Mills' momentum on that drive because he was playing his butt off on that drive.
Yeah. Devin White, 5 tackles. Nelvin Hewitt, 5 tackles. Eric Murray, tackle for loss.
MJ Stewart didn't play bad.
MJ Stewart did not play. He led the team actually with 6 tackles and 2 tackles for loss.
Can I say this?
Those reserve guys played some good football.
John, I didn't mean to cut you off. My bad. I just wanted to throw this in there real quick as well. Hey, I know he's not a reserve, but hey, Kalen Bullock is a monster.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I wish we would have came down with that one. Thank y'all for watching today's episode of the Locked On Texan podcast. Do me a favor. Follow me on Twitter at John_Hickman12. And then after that, subscribe, like, and comment to the Locked On Texan page on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcast.
And you can follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Star Sports with the Z at the end. And I also want to make sure that I throw in this. Hey, on behalf of the majority of the Houston Texans fans, hey, Tennessee, y'all can keep them damn colors because every time y'all lose.
Boom. And y'all barbecue ain't all that. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, peace.